Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my Sims 4 speedbuilding video, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building in the world of Forgotten Hollow, which is the world that we got from the game pack The Sims 4 Vampires. I'm going to be building a vampire starter family home. Now if I'm being completely honest with you, that introduction took me about 3 different attempts because I kept on saying vampire and family but merging the words together. I kept on saying like family, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, this week I thought it would be really fun to sit down and build something in the world of Forgotten Hollow because I rarely ever build here, if I'm being honest, because one of the reasons why I hardly ever build here is because, first of all, there's like 5 different lots, and I just like having bigger worlds. And sometimes when I build here, especially for my save file, which by the way, this house will be my save, I just get a little bit worried because I haven't really got that many lots to play around with. And so it's been a while since I built in this world, but as we are approaching Halloween, kind of, it's a bit of a stretch in it. I mean, we've only just come into October, but I mean, it's basically Halloween in my head anyway. I just thought it'd be a really fun idea to sit down and build a starter home for if you're wanting to start like a new current household and they just happen to be vampires. Because I don't know if anyone else does this, but if I'm ever gonna play with like vampires or spellcasters or now werewolves, now we've got werewolves in the game, I like to start them around about this time of year because it just fits in with the whole theme of like the current time of year, like being Halloween. And so I thought, why not do a starter home just in case you wanted to do that exact same thing, you wanted to create a new current household that happened to be vampires, and here's a little house that you can move them into. And I had a lot of fun doing it, so I hope you guys like it. But getting on and actually talking about the build. So the house ends up having 2 bathrooms and then room for either 2 potential bedrooms and a home office, or you could just make it into 3 bedrooms, depending on what you want to do in your own personal gameplay. Now, I'm saying potential bedrooms, and they could be bedrooms because basically, I need to explain it just in case you're new here or maybe you've never seen any of my starter home builds before. But basically, the way that I'm building all the starter houses for my save, I'm not doing it so they're fully fleshed out and fully decorated. Because the way that I see it, realistically in real life, if you was going to move into a flat, a house, wherever you move into, you're not going to move into this place and it's not going to have like rugs on the floor and posters on the walls and, you know, like them tiny individual details that make your space your own space because they're in your own personal touches. And so because of that, I decided that all the different starter houses in my save file aren't going to be fully fleshed out. They're not going to have posters and rugs and, I don't know, like just little bits and pieces that really make a house like a little bit more personalised. So the way that I do all of my different starter houses is your Sims will move in, they have a little bit of money to work with, so your Sims can go around and buy furniture, they can buy decorations, but the core things, the main things that your Sims need to survive are basically in the house. So in this house it ends up being like 2 toilets, I think there's 3 sinks because there's 2 bathrooms in this house, but then both the bathrooms have a sink, and then on the upstairs bathroom, which is kind of like the main one, it's also got the bathtub. So if your Sims smell, they're sorted, they're alright. But then there is also a kitchen, which again, it's got like the bare basics. It's got kitchen counters, it's got a kitchen sink, it's got an oven, it's got a fridge, and then at the end of it, your Sims actually have a little bit of money, so they can buy like a particular piece of furniture, they can buy a certain sofa that you might really like, or they can choose what bed that they want to do. I'm pretty sure off memory, the amount of money your Sims have left over if they did buy this house as a starter house, or if they moved in and this was already here, I'm pretty sure there was around about like 1,000 simoleons, which doesn't sound like a lot. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I did check and there is a few different bed options that your Sims can buy, and there is also some from base game as well, because I was looking at all the different like items and all the different beds within the like 1,000 simoleon price bracket, and there's loads from different expansion packs. I made sure there was at least one from base game, so if you've just got vampires and you've just got the base game, you're still covered. But there's around about 1,000 simoleons, and I built this to a single Sim budget, which I feel like is also quite important to know, because I'm assuming a lot of people know this, but then again, you might be new into the game. But either way, with the budgeting system, the way it works in the game, it depends on how many household members you've got. So if you're starting out and you created a single Sim household, they're going to have, I think it's 20,000 simoleons off memory. But then if you create a household that's maybe got like 2 or 3 household members, there's going to be a slight increase in the budget that you've got to work with. Basically, the game just kind of like allocates your Sims more money because there's kind of like more like members of the family. And also a good tip for this, because I've done this so many times myself, but if you ever want to do kind of like a rags to riches and you want to have a single Sim, but 20,000 simoleons is a bit far, like to make your Sims pocket stretch, get a cat or a dog, because they also help with the budget. So say for instance you wanted to move your Sim into this house, maybe you've got a single vampire, get them a cat or a dog, and then I think they get an extra couple of grand. It's just that way you're not cheating it, but you're still working it to kind of like a budget or like a budget system. But yeah, the house is built on a single sim budget, but I did initially build it so you would make it into a family home. So say for instance you've got like 3 or 4 household members, you're going to have so much more money to start off with just than that initial 1,000 simoleons. But like I said, I checked, your sims can still cope with 1,000 simoleons. I mean, half my sims don't even have a house, because a lot of the time I do play rags to riches, but my sims just basically live in a tent, because I don't know, I just love that kind of I love getting my sims to grind for like all their money, instead of, because I get bored very easily if I just motherload everything. And so having a little bit of a challenge, it's just more fun for me in my own personal gameplay. But anyway, moving on from that and actually getting on and talking a little bit more about the house and also what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I've already built like the main structure of the house, and now I'm going around and just doing a ton of different landscaping, so I'm really proud of myself. I don't think I spent a single simoleon on any of this landscaping. I nearly did, because some of the plants that we got from the Vampires game pack, some of them cost money, but I found that in the live edit menu there's the same plants but they're just much bigger. All you have to do is size them down and they're the exact same thing. It's just you have to go through a little bit of a process where you have to turn move objects on, or if you've got the bit of build buy mod installed, then you can just size them down and then the same plants, and you saved yourself like, I think it was like 25 simoleons per fern, which sounds really weird to say, but the little ones, they add up. I'm actually so grateful that I've got the better build buy mod installed. I'm so grateful that's even a thing, because doing starter houses is so challenging, but it's less challenging if you've got the debug menu and the live edit menu to hand. Because say for instance, all of this landscaping, like I said, didn't spend a single penny on it. The fence as well that wraps around the whole front garden, that again is from a live edit menu, didn't cost me anything. There's also a fence around the back garden, there's also like a ton of different rocks and just tons of little different individual details. Like that lamppost at the front of the build didn't cost me a single thing, because it's from the live edit menu. It's just, if you want to do a starter home build, trust me, if you've got mods installed into your game, or if you're someone that can install mods, if you're not a console player, which is still, unfortunately, console players can't install mods or CC into the game, but if you are a PC player and you want to build a starter house, just get the pet build buy mod. It's just so much handier. But anyway, as you can see over here, I'm just doing this little, kind of like a little pond in the front garden. Now, this is kind of like a reference to the world of Forgotten Hollow, because the lot that I'm actually building on, which by the way, I'm building on a 30 by 20, but it's one of the 30 by 20s where it's wider than what it is lengthways. But behind this particular lot, there's kind of like this body of water, and in this body of water, it's just very like spooky. And I remember, and I think I've said about this before once upon a time, but I remember when the Vampires game pack first came out, forever ago, because it's been out for a good few years now. I remember I was watching the live stream, and I remember the sim gurus were talking about this body of water, and they said that we're not going to show you, but there's something in the water and you can kind of like explore it in your own gameplay. And as soon as I got my hands in the pack, I exactly went and did that. And basically in this big like area of water, like this big pond lake thing, there's kind of like this statue, and I think there's a few graves as well, kind of like submerged into the water. I mean, I don't think there's any lore behind it, but I just really like that idea, and so I kind of like made a reference to it in this build. And so you would have noticed in the pond, I kind of like found this statue. Again, didn't cost me anything because it was from the live edit menu, and I kind of like merged it into the water to make it look like over time it's kind of like fallen over, and it's like currently probably still sinking into the water, and I'm just so happy with it. But also something actually that I feel like I need to point out, because I completely just skimmed over it and forgot to mention it. You might have saw there's some graves in the front garden. Don't worry, they're not actual graves that your Sims will like be able to interact with. No ghost to kind of come out of them. They're just purely decoration, but they're in the world of Forgotten Hollow itself, and so it kind of like blends into the area. And realistically, how many times can I use graves and make it make sense within a build? And so saw it in the live edit menu. And like I said, they were free. I made as much use as I could possible of the live edit menu for both the Vampires pack as well as the Werewolves game pack as well. Because I wanted originally, when I was building this, for this house to be a little bit, I don't want to say like manky, but a little bit on the like dingy side. Originally, when I came into it, the idea that I had for this house is it's probably hundreds of years old. Maybe a tragedy happened in this house and no one's ever wanted to move in. And so the house has just kind of like been sitting here. And that's why all the plants are really overgrown. And in a minute, you'll see they actually end up bouldering up some of the windows, because I was thinking it was abandoned. It was like that spooky house on the street, basically. And so in a second, you're going to see that I'm going to, again, get some live edit menu items, which are kind of like these planks of woods, and then I cover some of the front windows with. You can see that I'm just doing it now. I feel like it just gives it a little bit more character to the build, because I wanted it to feel like a really spooky house, and your sim wanting to move, or like your Sim's family, they wanted to move to the world of Forgotten Hollow. But unfortunately, this was the only property that was available, and so eventually they can probably like do up the house, remove the wood off the windows, and just kind of basically like a little fixer-upper for you. I mean, on the inside, it doesn't end up being like dirty or manky. I added a few different cobwebs here and there, again from the debug menu, because there is ones that cost your Sims money, but I was trying to be as mindful as I could with the budget when I was building this. So you'll see I add a few different cobwebs into the kitchen. The kitchen, you'll see it in a second because I'm just about to move on to it, but the kitchen is very small. I do want to say, I know it is very small, but your Sims are vampires. Their food doesn't come from the fridge. Their food is roaming around the world of Forgotten Hollow, so I wasn't too bothered about it. If you are bothered about the placement of the kitchen, you could 100% like move the kitchen around. Maybe you wanted to re-floor plan it. I'm actually really happy with the way I like kind of like did the floor plan for this house. I feel like it's really easy for gameplay, but if you did want to have a bigger kitchen, maybe your vampire Sim lives with like a human Sim and you wanted them to have a little bit more space, then feel free to, but just for the idea of vampires will be living in this house, vampires don't really need a kitchen in gameplay, and so I thought the smallest room makes sense to be the kitchen. But anyway, as you can see, I've actually now moved on into the inside. I'm just going to go around, add some wallpaper, add some flooring. Don't know if you would have picked up on it, but you know the flooring that's in the bathrooms? That didn't cost me any money. You know the plain concrete when you build a brand new room and it's kind of like the default wallpaper and the default flooring? It is just that flooring, but I just changed the colour of it, and I also did it so there's two different swatches and then kind of like create like a diagonal pattern. I was really happy with that because it's literally just free stuff at the end of the day. But anyway, I'm going to go around the house now, just finish it off, add some final touches, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My original ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.